Morning. So another week, another start to a working week back at the boat. Still waking up, which is why I'm still. Yes. So as you know, thank goodness I'm through more or less the insulation. As I said, with caveats, I will have to do a bit more at some point. And so now the next thing is the logical thing next is starting the wiring the electrics. The only problem is before I do that, I need to make a cable sort of tray for the cable to run along under the gunnels, and for that I need to trim. Being Mr. Economical, there's for the lining the standard sheets are 122 centimeters. I only need about a meter, so there's a strip at the bottom, and that's going to use those strips. So I need to cut the lining down to size before I do that. So the only issue with that, well, two things. One is, thank goodness, this is going to be the last warmish day, hopefully, for a while. I mean, the weather still looks reasonable, which will be nice, but I'm getting a bit sick of doing the hot yoga inside the boat. Still quite warm today, so it's going to be well over 30 in there, so not brilliant. But anyway, the only problem is, as it's cooling down, there's sort of random thunderstorms and heavy rain forecast without any of that warning. So to do the sheets, I need to get the table saw back out and get all that set up. And sod's law is, as soon as I do that, the rain will come. The other issue is I was going to just set it up just here rather than over there, just so it's less Monday. And once again, I arrived yesterday evening, and my lovely neighbours Ed and Rachel, I turned the corner, and it's I think I mentioned before it's happened, but I go around and they're like, oh, kind of, you see, they've gone. Where's the boat gone? And it's absolutely stunned, because I know they're like everybody, they're really keen to get to the water, but I didn't think they were going to be doing it. Anyway, it seems there was a bit of a muck up with the boat yard, and they thought they were going to the water, so they wiped the boat out. They poor Ed, they didn't tell poor Ed and Rachel again. They arrived the weekend and found their boats. The boat inside the tender embrace of Kylie the crane, right by the entrance, ready to go in the water. So they weren't best pleased. Anyway, the reason I'm saying that is if sod's law, as soon as I set the table store, even though I do it right next to my boat, when the thing comes down, when Kylie comes down, it fits right down the track. So anyway, I don't know what to do. I guess I'll go down to the office now and see when they're planning to do that. So it might be a bit of back and forth. But the main sort of overall task now is to get the lining panels done, and which I'm not looking forward to manhandling plywood again. The only sort of saving grace is that the lining ply is only 9mm thick, so compared to 25 to the floor. So each one is going to be considerably lighter, but it's still a damn huge size, which is, for two people it's not so bad, but one person, when you're trying to get it through all these things, is not great. But hey ho, it's got to be done, and once it's in there, once it's in there and up, that will be one thing to tick off. So yeah, I suspect it's going to take some weeks. Middle of August now. If I get this done by the end of August, I'll be absolutely amazed. In fact, it's not going to happen, but in the next coming weeks, I'm going to do that. Anyway, so get on with it and catch you later. Literally 5 minutes ago, before I started putting that together, I checked the weather forecast, and there's no rain until 6 o'clock. And as soon as I put the pieces together, it stopped. Bloody raining. Well, actually went better than hoped. It was great to use the table saw for what it was meant for, which is, you know, well, not it meant, but one of the purposes as it's designed to cut cut the same size repeatedly. So it's so much better than having to kneel over and measure out the each board individually, put the clamps on, put the guide board on, get the angle grinder, not angle grinder, sorry, the it's too late now, I can't even remember what it's called, circular saw, and go across. Not that the circular saw hasn't got me out of plenty of sticky situations before. Anyway, so, and also, as much as my mother commented when she saw it about how it looks dangerous, it feels a lot safer as well to use the table saw rather than the circular saw, because, you know, you've got this with the circular saw, you've got this free spinning blade, or as it were, in your hand, whereas that, you know, it's relatively stable. I say relatively. The other thing about it, you know, it's meant to be on a level concrete, or, you know, level floor, and of course the gravel here isn't particularly level, so it does take a bit of doing to get level. But anyway, once it's there, you know, it's a lot more stable, and then the blade is well secure, is well sort of secured. There's a guard on it, so it's I think, especially if my mother watches again, I think it's much better to be using the table saw. And so that was good. So that was done, and it was still an absolute nightmare to get the sheet materials into the boat. That exhausted me. That's why I stopped halfway through the sanding. I thought I'd better just get that done before I get far too tired. And even then, it was a bit of a struggle. But, you know, it's all got to go in at some point. So that's you know, another batch in there at least. Not up, obviously, but at least. I think the actual worst thing is actually getting it in through the boat. Yeah, so that's it. So time to get some food and collapse, and then start in the morning. Afternoon. Bit of a slow start today. I'd forgotten what it feels like the day after a day of plywood wrestling, so I wasn't feeling duty motivated. However, I've pulled myself together now and got going. So all the palaver yesterday was actually, I wanted, it's for these offcuts here. It's not for the wall panels, which I've got no desire or need for at the moment. Just otherwise, I'm having hauled them over to the boat, and there's no way they're going back in the storage container again. So they're just going to stay here and be in the way for a while. And I'm using the offcuts to make a cable tray to run underneath the gunnels. So there's just one of the parts is here. There's a dividing piece. So there's a section for the mains, 240 volts, and then a section for the low voltage to keep them separate. I don't think it's a boat safety scheme requirement, but I think it's good practice, and I also think, you know, if I was going for the recreational craft directive, which I'm not, I would. I think I'm pretty sure that would be required. Anywho, so that will go basically underneath the gunnels like that, and then when I finished, I haven't got there's one of the pieces, not this one like this, but then there'll be one underneath to sort of cover it up, and the side lining will go a bit further, so it'll be all basically boxed in, but still accessible. Hopefully I won't be accessing it again. It's a wee bit fiddly, so I'm fiddly just as in trying to get it all lined up. So I'm basically gluing along the edge of the small piece, and then just tacking in one of these. It's one of these things that maybe if I had a nail gun, which I don't, might be slightly easier, but I don't, as I said. So just carry on with that, and this is a half piece for the end. The rest of them are the full 2 meters, so I could be a bit all over the shop. But I'll just take it easy, and this is my afternoon, and probably a bit of tomorrow as well. That's being realistic, but let's see. So the trusty spray foam is about to be pulled into action. Actually, it's not so trusty. This was yesterday. So halfway through, it suddenly decided to explode and do a nice Jeff Koons sculpture. Fair play to Screwfix. You know, I phoned them up and they offered a replacement without any question, which is great. But it does mean I had to have a 12-mile, 1-hour round trip to Market Harbour to get it replaced, which wasn't great. Anyway, so what I'm doing is basically I haven't right underneath the gunnels I didn't put the foil insulation tape because I knew that these were going to win. So the foam is actually it's more for sort of sealing the joints in the between the two pieces of insulation rather than actually sticking in. I'm actually screwing the things to the battens as well. So and it does both, but the primary reason is for sealing. Morning. Well, a few days later, and I've finished the cable trays, and they've come out okay. I'm quite pleased with that. Like I said, I've got two channels. One's for this is for the low voltage, and that's for the mains ring. And then what I've had to do though is to make sure they're separate. The only fiddly thing which I'd planned for, but it was still a bit more fiddly, is so to make sure they're always kept separate. If there's any low voltage down here, now here I've got a USB socket to sort of route the wire properly, effectively. I had to take them up and so that goes up and over into the insulation and down there, so it sort of bypasses the mains bit totally, which keeps it separate. Places like this, were a bit of not a nightmare, but just had to take some thought. But because you've got a mix of mains and low voltage there, and again, making sure they're all kept separate and not running together took some doing. But that's good. So that's all that's sorted and ready for the next step now. And then that's the thing. The next step. So logically, clearly, the next step would be to put the wiring in and then put the boards up. And that's exactly what I was thinking of doing, which is why I've done all this, and that's why the boards are in there. And it'd be great to get rid of them, especially as I've realised that I've put the boards over the little bit in the bilge where I'd put not only the beer but also the onions. And I can't, just no way to get to that moving all the boards at the moment. However, having said all that, for the last couple of days, I've been thinking it's a nice day here. It's getting towards the endish of October, endish of August, and I'm sort of I'm starting to feel that the parable of the grasshopper and the ant, and it's not that I'm not that I'm lounging about, as you can clearly see, but I am getting this nasty feeling that winter will be on its way. Until this year, I've been living overseas for the last 6 years, and I'm used to in Austria, and I'm used to summers kind of lasting well into October. It's in fact it can be still nice and short weather really at the end of October. Certainly September is absolutely no different than summer. However, as well as been here, I've my first summer back in the UK has been exceeded expectations because we've been having heat waves and the driest summer for many decades. So, however, I know when I think about that to the past, winter will be here before I know it. Put it that way. And so I'm thinking that as much as it seems illogical to go screeching off in a different direction, I really should finish off getting this weatherproof, which is by effect, it's getting the roof light and getting the windows and the doors made weathertight, because it said soon it's going to be lashing down with rain. And it's also going to get windy, and it's bad enough. It's been bad enough at times. These things flapping around. It'll be nice to be able to remove those, and it will take time. What stopped me doing that to the moment was the fact that I need to get the sheet materials out of the container to have some room to use the table saw, and that still is the issue. But what I've been thinking is that I could bring, because the window stuff isn't big sheets, it's just cutting up small pieces of wood. I could bring the table saw in here, which I'm trying to resist doing because I don't want, the boat's full of polystyrene bits, I don't really want to fill it up with sawdust just yet as well. However, having said all that, I can't really see any options, but I thought if I bring it in and put it towards the back of the boat and put a sort of polythene curtain up there, that would help reduce minimise the sawdust. And then that get done, because it will take many weeks to get that done, I'm sure, with everything else. And the other thing is I need to also get the roof painted, because then not, you know, before winter comes along, I very much would like to get my solar panels in, because the electricity prices are going so ridiculous, and it's just daft having all the so I think I mentioned in the past, having all the solar cells in the container, not able to use them. But before I put the solar cells in, I need to paint the roof properly, because I don't want to have to put them in, take them off, and again, that's weather dependent. So we also need to choose the colour, which is I was hoping to put off till a long time yet. But yeah. Anyway, so that is the current thought today. I'm going to tidy up a bit and, you know, maybe have some thoughts, but that is probably it. So, and that's as I wrap up this video, because I've finished that bit and get this uploaded. So thank you for watching, and catch you soon. Bye.